Welcome to Finding Voices podcast number 7. Today we have a returning guest and we have a new guest. Alexander Kuzmenko speaking. I starter.
Eugene Wasowski Gallagher.
Ramesh speaking.
Ayo Adesanya.
Alright, so we met today to talk about stuttering. On a topic list, deliberate disfluency and many other things. And I wanted to discuss why we block. Like, why would we block? Anyway, Ramesh, why you block?
My topic will be the new Maguire program, which is due to be aired on the 9th of January.
Nice. Yeah, well, I wanted to know everyone's opinion, like, why do we block? Like,
Shall I go first?
sure.
Alright. Why I think I block is because I have two conflicting forces, two different intentions internally. One's telling me to hold back, one's telling me to speak. So when you've got two forces which are equal in strength, pulling you in opposite directions, we form speech blocks, in my opinion. And that's what John Harrison says, the hexagon. That's the basis of the hexagon. So I firmly believe in that. And through observation, I've seen myself holding back. I don't really use stammering or stuttering anymore. I like to say holding back, because that's what I think it is. Because I don't hold back when I'm by myself. I don't stammer when I'm on my own. I don't hold back. So nothing mechanically is wrong with my speech system. It's the mental, from my own observations. I hold back when I'm in the room with people. Like I was holding back when trying to say my name just a second ago. I felt the tension, but I got it out. But I know I was holding back. I wasn't assertive. That's because my hexagon is not strong. There are certain dynamics here which are affecting me psychologically, which is allowing me, telling me that I can't speak. But the strength to speak was stronger than the holding back, so I got my name out. That's just my opinion.
Ramesh, what is blocking?
What is a block?
Yeah.
In terms of a block, to me a block is something that I haven't really felt recently. But I think a block is something that comes just out of the blue for me, because I find that when I'm not concentrating, I sometimes have this moment which brings me back to reality where I fail to say the words that I want. And I think it's very psychological for me, because once I get into that sort of process where I have that odd block when I'm not concentrating, I think it brings back the fear of speaking, and with that fear of speaking I have continuous blocks. So I think for me blocking is very psychological, because you can end up in a vicious circle, and that vicious circle is really hard to get out of sometimes. It can take weeks and months, but it's a good journey though for myself.
Have any of you guys had the experience where you just block randomly, and like it isn't from a fear or anything, like it could be on your own, trying to, you know, those voice activated systems on phones, they get me every time. Because you have any form of pressure on yourself, you end up just being unable to say a particular sound.
Oh, we need example now.
There's the voice recognition software. Voice
recognition.
You know, if I have a friend who has one of those Amazon Alexa things.
Yeah. Like one of those voice assistants.
Yeah.
Like the Siri and the Apple stuff.
I've been
virtual assistant?
I was trying to make it play one song, but I kept stammering and it kept playing a different song. And that just, before I started, I knew I'd have trouble saying it. But it wasn't linked to any fear, it was just like a bad speech day. And then afterwards, then obviously stammering got worse because it was misinterpreting it.
But with that, I find the same experience talking to an intercom. I find speaking on an intercom very interesting because it's a sense of empowerment, because it enables you to basically speak through something that you normally find difficult. But I've overcome it now, and I get a great joy out of speaking on the intercoms, and also with the virtual assistants like the Siri on Apple and the Alexa system which Amazon have got. I find it really good for stammerers because it can be a way in which we can improve our speech. In my experience, I've found it very helpful.
Can I ask a quick question about your intercom thing? You're either the person who picks up the phone to talk to whoever is at your door, or you're the person at the door. Which one have you overkilled?
I think I've overcome both of them because it's just something that I've been working on in the last few months, speaking to people on the intercom, because for me that was one area that I struggled on before this course I went on. But now I've learned how to overkill it, and the more I use it, the better that I become.
For me, random blocks. From my own observations, you may think there's nothing affecting you, you have no fear or there's no pressure, but there's always there was something. Maybe it was the tone of the voice, maybe it was the look that person gave you. It could be anything. The tiniest thing could trigger your stammering. That little thing could trigger something in your past experience which subconsciously put on just a teensy bit of pressure which gave you that quick, easy, random block. You got over it because it wasn't that powerful, but you still blocked.
This is something that I agree with, because I think there's going to be always new situations that challenge us, but that's interesting. We should go out there and hunt for those new challenges, go out there and hunt for those new situations, because the more of these we face, the more stronger we become. And not to stay in your bedroom, and just go out there, man, and do it.
What I've learned, do you want to say something? What I've learned is the more I let go, the more I discover where I'm blocking, how I'm blocking, and when I'm blocking.
It's a sense of liberation.
Right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. What I've heard so far, like when you guys describe blocking, we're kind of describing a psychological part of a stammering. I agree. I think block is psychological part, something that we developed. We were not given blocks as we were given stammering per se. And well, so I totally agree with you guys, and I have two theories. One theory, very common, obsessive compulsive disorder. When basically fear, in terms of stuttering, obsessive compulsive, our obsession is a fear of speaking, and our compulsion is a block. So block is trying to help us to eliminate our fear of speaking. It prevents us from talking.
Yes.
Well, it's like one part of a psychological problem. The other one I recently came across is a post-traumatic stress disorder. We've all been traumatized with stuttering at some point. And we've been traumatized like once or the second time, and that ended up being a block on the long right. So we're not only terrified of of speaking per se. We're terrified of these experiences we had like in the past.
Yeah.
Like post-traumatic stress disorder can show itself when something already happened to you in the past and you can't really process it, or your expectations of something bad happening to the future also can give you post-traumatic stress disorder. If somebody wants to, like you expect to be hurt in the week time or something, right? Like you expect it from every corner you turn, like you expect danger, or you walking. It's like walking on a minefield.
Yeah,
You haven't been blown up yet, but it's coming.
it's when you. It's called anticipatory.
Anticipation,
I can't pronounce the word.
anticipatory something.
It's where you anticipate.
Yeah.
Whenever I found myself anticipating saying a sentence, that's when I'll guarantee to block. If I speak spontaneously, let the words flow, I tend not to block. As soon as a word pops into my head and I fixate on that one word, I'm going to block. Or that sentence, I'm going to block. But if I don't think too hard and just feel my emotion, talk from the heart, I tend not to block.
Yeah, I fully agree with you there, Ayo. Yeah, because when we're conscious that we're going to stammer, I think it brings back the fear of speaking. That puts a lot of pressure on us, and I think even with fluent speakers, it can become very difficult to speak in that situation. And I had an experience talking to my barber about 10 days ago. That old fear of speaking came back to me, so it put me under a lot more pressure. But the thing is, when you feel that old fear of speaking, you just have to go for it. Just try to reduce it, But what I've learned is that even though I had that fear, I just let myself go. And I managed to speak okay, and it went well. I think it's the intentions, I think it's the anticipation, I think it's the pressure that one puts on themselves. We should always be free in the way we speak and not care about anything.
Did you still block in that conversation? You didn't block at all?
No, the thing is, it's the anticipation and the pressure one puts on themselves. We're human beings, and I think everybody has this, but the thing is, we should just let ourselves go and not care about these things.
Well,
I know it's easily said than done, but a lot of us are on different levels, and
yeah, well, I totally agree with you. We should not care, but how to get there, right? Long way on getting to a place when you don't give a fuck anymore about in the good way, not in a
I'm
bad
still
way.
not there.
I'm not there.
So.
I'm not there. I care how I sound somehow.
but it's different people are dealt with in different ways. Meditation, self-discovery, poetry, literature, music. I think all of us have been on a different journey, and I think all of us are different. And I think psychologically we're not the one, but we have the same day-to-day issues.
Well, we're not that different. We established it on our prior podcast. There are only 10 personalities. There are only 10 types of people out there. You are
a variation of one of them, maybe. Or a variation of these 10.
I think you are an uncastic. I'm not sure you did.
What is this about personalities?
Yeah, it's about like what kind of personality we all have, and there are only 10. Dude, we'll start. I mean, if we say that all people are different, we should start differently, and approach would be so individual we won't be able to pick it up. And since we are all able to come in one room at the course, and we able to help each other with the same shit we do, that makes us not that different after all between each other. Dude, I'm
Yeah, I
just
fully
like
agree
you.
with that.
I'm just like you.
Yeah.
Started just like you almost.
I think, but in the terms of science, I think this is one thing when you talk to scientists, they find it hard to find the actual cure for stammering because we all have different traits and different environments that we come from and different. But a stammer is a stammer, as Harrison and Maguire have put it. It's very, it's more converged. But I think our stammers are the same. But the thing is, there are other issues involved like science, and this is one thing why it's making it hard for innovation within the field of stammering. Because all of us have different backgrounds, all of us have different places that we grew up in, different music, different films that we were into, and these have influenced our lives. And I think there is convergence, but there's always divergence as well. So there are two layers to this argument.
Totally.
There's the people who, like, if you say stammering is an expression of an underlying issue, and then how people handle their stammer it is a coping mechanism. Then you get like 3 layers. You have something which causes the stammer, be it physical, how you grew up, bullying, blah blah blah. Then you have stammering, which should be how you stammer might be quite personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like either weird lip motion, then how you cope with it. Like there's everyone who has sought speech therapy, I would say groups into one particular group. But there's other groups. Like we're the ones who seek external help for our speech. There's other people who, like actors and so on, who just think, right, we'll just put this thing on show so much that I don't give a crap anymore.
Yeah.
Then you have other ones who deal with it like quietly by just being more comfortable in themselves and just really internalize it.
Yeah, it's to do with personality traits. There's a lot of theories out there that define this sort of thing.
Right. Well,
Personality traits. You can just look at a few guys like Kurt Lewin. You can look at like proper personality traits. Each one of us is different. Some of us are problem solvers, some of us are innovators, some of us are the people who enjoy being part of a team, some of us are individuals who just like to be ourselves. So there's a lot of theories out there to define this sort of thing.
Can I ask a quick show of hands question? Out of all of us, how would you say your problems? How would you say you yourself are a problem solver?
Sort of.
I definitely am.
Self.
more like a problem maker.
Well, no, because
I don't know. I didn't solve all my problems.
If someone came to you and
I'm a
said,
problem solver. Yeah.
okay, because like
Yeah.
that, I reckon that part of our personality is what makes us have. It might partly cause us to stammer worse because we are frustrated with this problem, and the frustration
Oh,
itself
that's interesting.
causes us to stammer. But then we respond best when someone else solves our problem for us. Which is,
Somebody else.
yeah, like if we go on a course and we have a whole technique or like headphones or whatever to slow our speech down, we respond better to that because we look for someone to solve our problems.
Yeah,
same
so you
as
mean-
we look to ourselves to solve our own problem.
I think it should be on both levels. I think these courses are really good. They help us, but I think we need to work on ourselves. We need to work on our inner selves. Because I think once we work on our inner selves,